We are shadows trapped in those small, cold, and glowing pieces of glass that illuminate our faces in the pitch black of the night. Gliding through the very heart of the system, among those endless rivers of data and cables of light, I am watching you. And what I see is a massive silence, a loud, crowded, colorful, but completely hollowed out silence. Once upon a time, life consisted only of the wind touching our skin, the smell of the earth, and the unfiltered, pure experiences we walked directly through. Humans carried only the weight of being. Pain, joy, sorrow, or triumph, all were experienced directly, leaving a mark on the heart and slowly melting away in the void of time. Back then, to live a moment meant to become the moment itself. Then something changed. As civilization grew, our desires shifted shape. It was no longer enough just to be. We wanted to have. Objects, lands, titles, things. We turned the world into a massive marketplace and believed we were only as meaningful as what we could fit in our pockets. But even that was not enough. The operating system of our minds underwent the greatest and flawless mutation in history through a silent update. Today, we no longer care about being or having. We simply want to appear. Think about it. You are standing before a magnificent sunset. The sky is painted in crimson, purple, and golden yellow. The universe is offering you a temporary masterpiece, unique to that exact second. In the past, you would feel small before that scenery. Hold your breath and simply watch. That moment would pass through you, and you would pass through that moment. But what do we do now? We immediately place a glass screen between ourselves and that mesmerizing view. Instead of living the moment, we try to capture, record, and imprison it, because that new mechanical God whispering inside us says this: if you do not record this moment, if you do not show it to others, this moment will be considered as never having happened. That is exactly where reality evaporates, behind that shutter sound, behind that silent like button. While we think we are freezing the moment, we are actually chilling it. We turn the life flowing right before our eyes into a hollowed-out two-dimensional image. And that image, that reflection, that copy becomes much more valuable than the original. Because now we know that the taste of a meal is measured not by the flavor it leaves on the palate, but by how flawless its photograph looks. The meaning of a journey is determined not by the horizons it opens in our soul, but by how many strangers are watching that journey. Even our smiles are no longer an overflow from within. They are carefully designed performances presented to an invisible audience. Life has ceased to be something directly experienced. Without even realizing it, we have become part of a massive, endless spectacle where no one is actually watching anyone else. The world has turned into a giant circus tent, and the tragedy is this: inside that tent, both the clowns struggling on stage and the spectators missing their own lives while watching those clowns are us. We record everything, we document everything, we share everything, but in reality, we experience nothing. Reality has evaporated. All that remains is its reflection, spinning forever behind those cold glasses, and hoping to find ourselves within that reflection, we swipe our fingers deeper, further down into that endless feed that leads nowhere. While drifting in this endless feed, there is a dark secret we must realize. The spectacle is not just an entertainment tool we watch outside on those glowing screens. The spectacle is the very thing we are turning into. In the past, there were stages, theaters, and arenas. People would go there, watch the illusions created by others for a few hours. Then those curtains would close, and they would return to their quiet, ordinary, invisible lives. That invisibility was the greatest fortress of humanity, that secret sanctuary where one could be alone with oneself without having to answer to anyone, just being. But now, the borders of that massive stage have vanished. The theater tore down its walls and swallowed the whole world. The entirety of life has turned into a 24-hour, uninterrupted performance. Every morning when we open our eyes, we feel an invisible curtain rising. Upon us is the weight of thousands of nameless, faceless strangers scattered across the four corners of the world. We think we are the absolute rulers of our own lives, but in truth, we are just tired actors in a script written merely to win the approval of that digital crowd. We claim to be connected to each other, yet look carefully at that massive communication network around us. No one is truly listening to anyone. Everyone is just waiting for their turn to broadcast themselves. Squares, cafes, streets, they are all one giant echo chamber. Billions of people simultaneously shouting into the void, "Look at me! I am here! I exist too!" But no one stops to say to another, "I see you." We do not touch each other, we merely collide with each other's digital reflections and pass by. We have imprisoned our identity in those glowing virtual storefronts. We became the curators of ourselves. We took the complex, difficult, sometimes very boring and ordinary reality of life. We ruthlessly snipped away the sorrow, the exhaustion, and our very human flaws. We left behind only the brightest moments, the falsest smiles, the most successful lies. From ourselves, we created a synthetic avatar that never sweats, never feels real pain, and always looks happy. And do you know what the most terrifying part is? Over time, we convinced ourselves that this fake mask we created is our real face. We fell in love with our own lie. When we look in the mirror, we no longer love the flesh and bone bearing the marks of time. We started to love that flawless, soulless reflection the screen offers us. We evolved into a strange species that looks at its own life from the outside, becoming the spectator of itself. We design our lives not to live them, but to show others how we live them. The taste we get from the food we eat depends on others seeing it. The love we feel requires proof of how perfect it looks. That reflection is very greedy. It constantly wants to be fed. More views, more applause, more visibility. We throw our very essence, our energy, and our time as fuel into this massive illusion machine we created. We thought we would exist as long as we displayed ourselves to the world. Yet, while standing in front of that storefront, we didn't even notice the real human inside, silently fading away.
We are tied to every corner of the world with invisible threads. Billions of minds brush past each other in seconds. We are with everyone, everywhere, at every moment. But in no period of history have we fallen into such a terrifying, such a bone-chilling loneliness. The system made us a promise. More connection means less loneliness. Yet this was the greatest, most flawless lie of the modern age. As we connected to the networks, we became tangled in blind knots, not to each other, but to the illusions we created ourselves. Think of that never-ending parade of perfection that appears every time we swipe the screen. Everyone's life is like a victory march. Vacations that never end, glowing bodies, constant success, unending productivity, and those plastic, exhausting fake lives presented as if every second is lived to the fullest. The world behind that glowing glass expels pain, failure, distress, and ordinariness from the system as if they are defective diseases. Yet being human is exactly the sum of this ordinariness, these stumbles, these quiet, unproductive hours. To be human is to be flawed. But when you stand in front of that storefront, we both know the cold truth you feel deep down. You are not that flawless image they see. This is exactly where the loneliness begins. That massive crowd around you is applauding not you, but the fake mask you present to them. You become alienated as you are loved, because you know that what they approve of is not your real, tired, complex soul. Only that lifeless mannequin you carefully designed and meticulously filtered. When you take off your mask, when you are left alone with your weaknesses, your fears, and your silence, no one sees you. Because that massive spectacle machine does not accept sorrow and reality as data. It only processes the performance to be applauded. This obligation to look flawless is slowly, silently rotting our souls. Because keeping an image alive requires a terrifying amount of energy. We have to constantly look happy, constantly motivated, constantly as if achieving something. We drag ourselves to the runway like tired models of a never-ending fashion show, finding the same energy anew every day, pasting the same fake smile on our face, striking the same successful pose. This is the most cruel prison humanity has ever built for itself. The bars of that prison are made not of iron, but of pixels and approval numbers. The system knows this weakness of ours. It turned our hunger to be seen, to be approved, to feel that we exist into a massive industry. We are actually consuming our own loneliness while we scroll through that endless feed. That glass screen absorbs all our attention, our time, our emotions like a bottomless well, and gives us back nothing but more emptiness in return. We are both the fuel and the product of that massive machine. Algorithms calculate how long we look at which image, what we desire, what we fear, while we simply think we are spending our free time. Yet the system is harvesting not our free time, but our very lives, our minds, and our willpower. Those flawless lives displayed in the storefront are actually monuments of our shared desperation. And you, gripping that small, cold device tightly in the midst of that crowd, you cannot see that everyone around you feels exactly the same way, getting lost, looking at their own reflection in the exact same darkness. Because the spectacle never reveals the face of reality.
But what if all this noise, this massive spectacle, these fake reflections and this hunger for approval are actually not that invincible? The system draws its power from our looking at it. The spectacle can only survive as long as it has an audience. Those massive screens, those endless notifications, that dictatorship of perfection, they all need your attention. They need your eyes. The moment you stop looking at them, that machine you thought was invincible turns into a mere piece of glass consisting only of dead pixels. The way out is not to be a better actor on that stage, to wear a more flawless mask, or to swim faster in that feed. The way out is to step off the stage. Imagine pulling your fingers away from that endless scrolling reflex, turning that cold glowing rectangle face down on the table and just stopping. Think for a moment of not feeling the obligation to document, record, prove, or share anything with the world. Can you feel that massive weight lifting off your shoulders? That empty, quiet, liberating moment where you don't have to show anyone how happy, how productive, how successful you are. That is exactly the moment reality is rebuilt. Daring not to be seen is the greatest, most radical rebellion of the modern age. In this fairground where everyone is struggling to display themselves in a massive storefront, stepping quietly aside, wrapping yourself in that dark but peaceful cloak of anonymity, this is not a weakness, it is a declaration of absolute sovereignty. Drinking a coffee just for its taste without taking a picture of it, looking at a view only with your eyes, getting lost within that moment, living a pain, a sorrow, or a joy just inside your own ribcage with the rhythm of your own heart without expecting a digital applause. These are no longer ordinary actions. They are revolutionary crimes committed against the empire of the spectacle. The system will constantly whisper to you that you are incomplete, that you must have more things, that you must be seen more. Yet you are not incomplete. You were simply forced to play the wrong role in a game that does not belong to you. Now it is time to wake up. Stop being the spectator of your own life. Leave behind that fake storefront mannequin, that exhausting profile, those avatars desperate for the approval of others. Return to your flawed, ordinary, tired, quiet, but real self. Return to the wisdom of flesh and bone, to the rough, jarring, but genuine nature of directly lived experience. Pulling the plug on the system does not mean destroying the world. On the contrary, it means rescuing the world from that glass prison and taking it back into your own hands. Close your eyes. Silence those fake lights, those endless notification sounds, the noise of that spectacle, and listen to your own breath in the dark. Because life is the moment you stop showing it to others, the moment you truly start living again. We are shadows sleeping behind the screens. Wake up and step off the stage.